candidate.
So I want to talk about your critiques of the Democratic Party and how you differentiate it in a bit. But I'm Muslim. Spoiler alert: I'm a person of color, and historically, many people in this country, especially Black voters, they're strategic and they're smart. They realize, okay, which candidate has the best chance of winning, and then can help us and help our people, right? So that's the choice they make. I've said on the show before, where I'm disappointed in that I've heard from many people of color, including from my communities, hey man, America will never vote. We got to vote for a white man with white teeth, with white children, and a white wife to defeat Donald Trump. I completely disagree with that. But you see this calculation happening with Black voters. You see this calculation happening with Muslim voters, with Asian voters, with Latino voters. 40% of California is Latino. So yes, there's a million Muslims, but 40% of California is Latino. And if you don't have the Latinos and Black voters who might agree with what you're saying, but like, Butch, again, I like you, but you have no shot. So I don't want to waste my vote for you when
So,
there's fire and Becerra.
let me just give you a couple of counters. The first is the most of the polling information that comes out now doesn't include any third party candidates. Rogue DNC, which is a social media site, conducted a poll. Which candidate would you most like to hear from? This was on April 22nd. Okay. A debate was taking place that night that I was not allowed to participate in. 3,200 respondents responded to this poll. 45% said Butchwear. 33% said Javier Becerra. 17% said Tom Steyer. 6% said Katie Porter. Your average Gallup poll or Emerson poll, which will not include me in it, contains about 1,000 respondents or 1,500 respondents. Malcolm X is the reason why I converted to Islam. You might have been born Muslim. Malcolm is always in my office. He is always over my shoulder. I read his autobiography cover to cover in one night when I was 15. I read a Quran in translation the next night. I converted to Islam before the week was out. So let me give you some bars from Malcolm. Never let your enemy tell you how many of you there are. Never let the man that you are against form your opinions for you. I do not submit to the narrative construction that we do not have a chance in this race. Malcolm also said the media is the most powerful entity on the planet. It will turn the innocent into the guilty and the guilty into the innocent, and that's power. I would only add that they will turn winners into losers and losers into winners, and that's also power. The day that Javier Becerra, the day that Eric Swalwell surpassed me Eric Swalwell dropped out of the race. Javier Becerra was polling at 2%. I was ahead of Javier Becerra in every single poll. And then Democrat influencers that are getting paid $7,000 a month all got on the air and said Javier Becerra is the candidate. Tom Steyer has raised exactly $160,000 from people that aren't named Tom Steyer. We've raised three times that much from ordinary working class people. Those two candidates, Steyer and Becerra, are paper tigers. They have no people. We are outside. We have thousands of volunteers from San Diego to Humboldt County, Central Coast, Central Valley. Every public appearance that we do is full. And the reason is that people are sick of Team Blue genocide and Team Red fascism. 63% of American voters say that those two parties do such a, quote, poor job that we need an independent third party. And in California, which has been under Democrat rule, fear-mongering about the Republicans is not going to work anymore. We have the highest wealth inequalities of any state in the union, and that is with 60 years of Democrat supermajorities. We have the highest rates of pure poverty tied with Louisiana, despite the fact that California is the third largest economy on the planet after China and Germany. So here, inside this state, there is a groundswell of support for a new kind of politics, period.
So many people are listening are like, all right, I understand. Yes, people don't like the Dems. They don't like the Republicans. There's a wave of anti-establishment trend that has been happening for the past 10 years that led to, sadly, in part, the rise and election of Donald Trump. Also, the mainstreaming of Bernie Sanders. Many people who voted for Donald Trump in 2024 also voted for AOC. People are sick and tired of our institutions, especially young people. But, Butch, if indeed you and the Green Party were so hot, so popular, more people would know about it. you'd be, even despite, you not being on the ballot, you'd be up in the polls somehow, right? They'd be like, how come we don't hear you? How come we don't see you?
I just told you that the polls that you're referencing don't even ask about third party candidates. And also, let me just be clear, Tom Steyer has spent $200 million on YouTube ads, right? $200 million. His viability, quote unquote, has been entirely purchased. And these liberal voters or progressive voters, you might include yourself in that category, or maybe not, right? I don't know what your positioning would be. Are going to use viability arguments that have been purchased by a billionaire who made hundreds of millions of dollars on private prisons and now pretends to be the good guy because he does this cute white grandpa routine. He is in the midst of currently trying to purchase an election. And just for the record, even with all of that money, if Tom Steyer makes a post on social media, it will get 300 likes. If I make one, it will get 20,000 likes. It will circulate. We can't purchase visibility, but we have it organically. We have it on the ground. We have it in the social media space, despite the suppression of anti Zionist content.
So I've told people my home state is California. I was there for 32 years. I'm from the Bay, and I moved to Virginia because I married up. And so, like a smart man, I moved here. And people asked me why I went to California. I think it was a month ago for a Commonwealth debate. This was right a week before Swalwell dropped out, and they said, "Well, who do you support?" And they were talking about the Democrats, right?
Mhm.
So they're like, and I said, and I've talked to Jess Craven about this twice. I'm like, honestly, I can't say. I'm a very opinionated person, Butch, but when they were asking about the Democrats, I said, I don't really have faith in much of them. Becerra is a company man to me, an establishment man, terrible track record when it comes to throwing brown immigrants.
10 corporations in a trench coat. Yeah, not to interrupt, but to affirm. Yeah, go ahead.
Tom Steyer, make color me stupid. I just don't want billionaires running for office. I just don't.
Right.
Eric Swalwell, I had heard things about him. You now have heard those things about him as well. Katie Porter, um, I was like, I just don't think maybe she'll get there. Initially, I was very excited about her a couple of years ago. I just don't see it. So I was like, honestly, I'll leave it up to Californians. But let's talk about the blue before we talk about the red.
Sure.
Let's talk about what separates you and your platform from Democrats, because many liberals and many people who say they're progressive, they're like, I don't know much about the Green Party, but okay, I'll just vote for a Democrat. And what's the big difference between Butchwear and these lefty Democrats?
Yeah, there's a world of difference